Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Axel and Friends podcast. My name is Axel Blaze, back again for another Spooktober episode of the Axel and Friends podcast. If you didn't catch last week's podcast talking about Cartoon Network Halloween specials and whatnot, you can definitely find links down below on the channel or on Spotify. But in today's episode of the podcast, we are going to be diving into the sensation that is not only sweeping our nation, but apparently like 80 plus nations around the world. We're going to be talking about Squid Games, but not just Squid Game. We're going to be talking about the death game genre in general, because the death game genre has been around longer than a lot of people know. It's been around in the West, but it's more so been a thing, in the East, in Japanese culture, Korean culture, etc. So just like last week, I have two guests on the panel this week to talk about death games and whatnot, and both of them are two of my friends from Bleach D&D. First off, we've got Mmbro. Mmbro, welcome to the channel and welcome to the podcast.
How y'all feeling?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good, and I hope you're feeling good too, and I hope the audience, however big or small they are, is feeling good too. But glad to have you. Absolutely. And our other guest is Sweet Tea, the lone female of our Bleach D&D group, but valued member nonetheless. Sweet Tea, welcome to the channel and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Axel. I'm super happy to be here, and I'm excited to talk about this topic today.
Absolutely. It's I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like at least for me, I death games are like a guilty pleasure for me in a way. I mean, like when you think about it, like especially for like the people in the West, I mean, I know a lot of people have murder mystery guilty pleasures. I mean, South Park made a whole joke episode about murder mystery porn and whatnot. So like like the death games, I feel like they're that next step for like the people out there that was like, you know what, I really enjoy a good murder mystery, but you know what I love more? People dying in rapid succession for my enjoyment. But I like, how do you guys feel about death games? Like, was Squid Game like your first foray into it? I don't think it was, based on, I mean, our like Twitter messages and whatnot, but for the audience, like what has your experience been with death games?
I can go ahead and go first. So this is not my first rodeo with death games. I would say I think my first time really dealing with a death game was when I was a preteen and I read The Hunger Games. I think that was my introduction into it. And then eventually more into anime as a teenager, and I watched the Fate series. And the Fate series, those were technically death games because they're all trying to win the Holy Grail, and people who compete in the game can die. And then I also went ahead and I got really into God of High School, the webtoon, and people like they die in God of High School too. Like it's really interesting though, because God of High School is not all like the same plot line, but there's similar stuff that surrounds like a tournament type of thing.
What?
And if you think about
God
it
of
too,
High School not having one plot line, having more than one plot line? No. God of High School is, so on the track the entire time, never taking any breaks for hundreds of chapters at a time. But no, go ahead.
no, but God of High School is really good. Ignore the anime, read the webtoon instead. Um, anyways, we're not here to push agendas. We're here to talk about death games. And then I also I know of Alice in Borderland. I have not watched Alice in Borderland, but I really want to. And I'm pretty sure I'm missing like other death game series because I've read a lot of stuff when I was a kid. I used to be a huge bookworm. So I probably read some stuff, but I'm just blanking and forgetting about it. But I also am familiar with like this. I think it's the movie Battle Royale. I'm familiar with it.
Yes.
It's been a super duper long time since I've seen it, so my memory is not the best with that one. But in conclusion, I mean, I've dabbled in dev games like a little. I've like dipped more than a toe in it, so like I'm not new to the genre, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I can definitely relate. I mean, like, and especially with like forgetting certain titles and whatnot. There are so many manga, especially that had either anime or even live action adaptations or adaptations that most people just aren't aware of, just because they came out before like the age of streaming. And I mean, as a result of that, there are some that are of very questionable quality out there, but um yeah, and we could definitely talk more about Hunger Games too in a bit, but I want to hear from Mmbro. What has your experience been with death games?
Oh, I love death games, yo. I love this game.
Mhm.
Like y'all playing, like I just like looking at y'all playing to get killed because y'all need something, yo. That's crazy. Because like you could have gone to the store, you could have got a job, right? I probably mean that point, but like some of the death games, like say the Hunger Games, like y'all remember the movie The Maze Runner, right? Like going
Yes.
Yeah, I was
mazes.
thinking about Maze Runner. Yeah,
Was that a death game or I'm tripping?
it's
uh
technically
no.
not a death game. It's more of a dystopian.
It was
Okay.
It's in the same dystopian genre, but they're not really death games because the maze, like just thinking about the first book itself, not the other books in the series, like that's somewhere where they're trapped in and they're trying to escape the maze.
it was
And there's like
a
Mhm.
monsters in
it
there.
was a survival thing more than anything, at least in the first movie slash book. And then it just,
Yeah.
got convoluted after that, and apparently there were zombies. And I didn't watch the second movie or the third movie, so my Maze, the first Maze Runner movie was very good, like very good. Like, I really enjoyed it. And then I just heard things from like afterwards, and I my memory of like everything afterwards, I just think of the one guy in like the trailer who was just like, "You'll never survive in the scorch," and I'm just like, that sounds so dumb.
And
It's
it
just
hurts because like I read the books because like again when I was a preteen teenager, those type of dystopian young adult novels were my bread and butter. And so like series like Divergent and Maze Runner, and even the Hunger Games series, I loved reading those. So the Maze Runner movie was good, but like there's just it's different when you read the books first and then they have an adaptation come out. Because there were certain things that were very important in the books that they didn't have in the movie.
what
But in
the
conclusion, though,
movie
of my
leaving things out that the book included. That's never ever happened ever
Cough, cough.
before.
Percy Jackson's cough, cough. Percy Jackson.
Oh my,
we're not going to
oh
talk about
please,
Percy Jackson.
please, no, my
Please,
heart.
no.
I mean, at least it's getting at least it's getting a series, and it's like
And it's being
being
overseen by Rick.
it's
Rick and
being
his
That's
wife are
true.
yes,
overseeing it.
yes. So like redemption is on its way. Like, we don't need to have the actor for Grover saying how the voice or the role of Grover absolutely ruined his life, and he blames that on how his acting career just plummeted, just because he wore drag as Grover, and not because of his acting ability or anything like that. No, it was that movie in particular that made him fail in life. And yeah, I'm done with that tangent. But MMO, keep going about you and your love for the death game genre.
No, it's just always been a cool concept for me because first, as we said, pointed out, it's not a lot of like a lot of shows and stuff like that in the West or just in general that I've seen. So when I do see like this little genre like or shows or movies about this, I'd be interested because it'd be cool. That's how you like to laugh at the character because it make idiotic decisions, but it's still funny.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. It's great seeing, like, in some cases karmic justice, or in other cases people just dying because they were dumb, which
Yeah.
Yeah.
it happens a lot in both, for sure.
I
Plus,
I think. Oh, go ahead, Embro. I'm so sorry.
plus to kind of get into like Squid Games, it's cool how the creator put like regular ass games that my fault regular games that we used to play that we play like on the school grounds into like some death, you know what I mean? So that's cool because a lot of times we see a lot of death games. They're like some crazy stuff like Hunger Games. Y'all out here going district to it's like a confederacy low key. Y'all just killing each other, right?
Oh my god, we just called it the frickin' Hunger Games a confederacy. Oh my god.
Jeez.
You're not wrong, but like at the same time, like jeez. No, you're fine. You're fine. It's fine. You know, whatever.
But yeah, it was kind of like that. So it's cool to see. I feel like a unique take on the death game genre with Squid Games.
See, like, oh, go ahead, T.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think something that I find interesting with the death games genre too is seeing how like what's happening in the world around them, like how that impacts the characters of the story, like their reasoning for participating, and not only that, but like how the events happening within the games are affecting them as the character and influencing their decisions, and also how they see the people who are enforcing the games, like how do they view them, and just looking at the society as a whole. Like those themes I find very interesting.
Absolutely. And that is a common thread in pretty much any death game kind of series. Like you always have people that are brought together under varying circumstances. You see, for the most part, the people that are controlling the game, the situation, and manipulating the contestants in various degrees, and then obviously the contest itself. Like if the contest itself isn't interesting enough, then it's, you know, it just kind of flatlines. I wanted to say, because a member brought up, you know, the fact that you have certain situations where it's just kind of confusing, whereas Squid Game made things pretty simple, which I think is why people related to it. When I think of Western death games, the two that I immediately think of are Hunger Games, like we already mentioned, and whether or not you want to call it a death game, because it's technically playing games or you die. I think of Saw, which is also just another example of people playing these games or whatnot, and with death on the line. More often than not, almost everyone dies, but
yeah,
I feel like the difference Saw and like the other ones, they choose to be in them. Saw's like, hey yo, I want you and I got you.
Correct.
You could argue that those really bad escape room movies are death games.
True. And it I guess it kind of, I mean, it lends to the question, is a death game technically a death game if people aren't willing participants? I'd like to argue that it still is, because you have a lot of people that do play death games because of situations that they were put into. I mean, on the anime side of things, Dead Man Wonderland is a perfect example of that. All these people are jailed.
Just about to say Dead Man Wonderland.
And like that's technically a death game. I would say it's again
SAO.
Yes, SAO is another one where like that is technically one where they did not have a choice in the beginning. And we will talk about SAO because I have things to say about SAO.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of technical death games. Like Tron's technically a death game.
Oh, Tron.
Yeah,
and I forgot.
If you think about it.
I mean, only because like the guy from real life got transported into it. He was playing with other programs, so like whether or not you want to like he was playing games against other programs, and they were killing off other programs, and he lived. So yeah,
Would you consider that one season or arc of Teenage Mutant Ninja, like 2003, John, when they went into like the computer stuff? Would you consider that a death game? I just remember that. It was like,
I don't know. I mean,
like, bring up like our isekais. I wouldn't say all isekais, but with certain isekais, maybe be like a subgenre of a death game. That could be a thing, but I wouldn't say all of them. But
I'd say it's a merging of genres. honestly, because
Yeah.
let's be honest, isekai is a genre at this point. I mean, it's been a genre.
Yeah.
Like, over half of the things that come out on like a given anime season are freaking isekais. And that's not a bad thing. Like, it's, don't get me wrong, it's an oversaturation of the market for sure. But like, I feel like too many people out there like, oh, it's isekai, that's gross. Isekais aren't for real anime or manga fans. And first off, how dare you? Second off, most of these isekais are light novels, so you are uncultured swine for not recognizing that it is from a light novel first and foremost. And third of all, like, I get it. If you only see like, if you only see either the good end or the bad end of the isekais because of like Annie Twitter or whatnot, sure, I can understand how that warps your perception. But like, at the same time, if you're not actually going out there and like experiencing things, like, you're missing out on some pretty good isekai lately.
And your first red flag is letting any Twitter warp your perception.
Oh God.
That's your first red flag right there.
I mean, it
Isekais are cool,
happens.
though.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Like, it's one of those. I mean, like, and you see it like even with like the popular AniTubers, like where all of a sudden like they have differing opinions. Like, I just remember like Joey the anime man talking about My Hero Academia on like one season of like the podcast, and he was just like, MHA has some interesting characters and it's a pretty good show. And then all of a sudden, like, you see him on like a private stream and he's just like, I hate My Hero Academia, I hate the characters of My Hero Academia. And it's just like, bruh, what happened? What did the internet do to you?
I mean, then one could argue though, like maybe as the story progressed, your opinion changes of it.
And
I mean, one could
if
argue that.
if that genuinely did happen, then cool. But I'm just saying, there are too many people out there where it's just like, they go on the internet has a certain opinion, or it's cool to have a negative opinion, and then people just spew that rather than having their own opinion. But I digress. That is yet another tangent that's, don't need to worry about that. We're here for death games. Beautiful, deadly death games. And
Yes.
I don't know. I have a feeling, just because of how well Squid Game did, I can almost guarantee that there's going to be like a Hollywood adaptation for a Western version of Squid Game if a second season doesn't already incorporate that. I can just feel it. Like that, like,
For sure.
the fact
They're
that
gonna try and
go ahead.
create something. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
But Hollywood just has a bad habit, and they've done this for years, of just like, they copy paste, but like the paste is like the great value version of the original. And right now, I think this will be a wake-up call for Hollywood, though, because right now we are stuck in this nostalgia nightmare with nothing but live action remakes and reboots for the most part. Like, those are the things they really push and advertise a lot. And the amount of original content that's still being made is like slim. And I don't even know if you could count like novel adaptations as original content. Like, maybe, but like actually them coming up with their own concepts for film and not having it being based off of like a piece of medium or a media that already exists. You don't see that a lot in Hollywood right now. It's a shame, because there's a ton of stories out there. And I know, because like in college, I went to screenwriting class. I wrote with very talented people who have amazing stories and stuff like that. And I feel like this might be a wake-up call for Hollywood. I hope so. That they're like, maybe we should start investing in more original stories. But if not, they will try to rip and copy off of Squid Game.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're already trying to do that with Parasite, so why not do Squid Game next?
And then the Train to Busan too, like that one.
The Korean, what you call them? The Korean K-drama? That Parasite?
Yes, it's a Korean drama. So they're just copying the Koreans at this point. I don't blame them.
Hey, Harley,
But like,
Harley, y'all
Yeah,
some weird. Y'all weird for that for real. Cause like,
yeah,
I don't
because they're
like.
trying to make like the Hollywood version of Train to Busan, and I'm like, you can't do that because
oh no, I
like
know.
it just you can't do that. I don't know.
No, it's not the same. Like trains aren't part of American culture like the same as they are in like Japan or the Koreas or Europe in general. Like it's
Mhm.
just not as big of a part of it. So like I mean that's the thing is like part of why it was as successful as it was going to the various train stations and trying to go from route to route to try to get to where things were safe. Like that's just not a thing in the States. Like you'll have like one really long train line or something, but it's just not the same. Like it
You don't
doesn't
even have a
work.
good train system, first of all.
They,
Like,
they about to remake it to Subway of to what was the name of it? Subway to of
what is it going to be? The Amtrak to New York? Like,
Honestly, probably. If you really had to think about it, like that's one of the ones that would make sense other than like maybe like a cross country thing. Like they could kind of do that maybe like with Illinois with like the train line there, but I don't know. Honestly. Again, it's just not the same. Like it's not a one for one thing that you can just copy. Like there's so much that goes into it that we don't have, but it's just like, oh, it was really successful, so like we gotta do it. And it's just like, no, just promote foreign language content more. Like, geez, like
and even better
honestly,
yet, make your own original content. That's just as good.
yes, I both would be great. I mean, like when it comes down to
Yeah.
it, you see a lot of the original stuff that does get made still either go to Sundance or they get like a super limited theatrical run and then they're all promoted for an Oscar run and it's just the hoity-toity, oh, I was part of this small production that made $250,000 after it being aired only for 30 minutes in a California movie theater amidst COVID where everyone had to be in bubble seats. And it's just like, oh my god,
It's the
why?
pretentious for me. It's so annoying. But like, I guarantee you though, and Netflix is already starting to do this, they're going to push a lot more of their foreign content to the forefront.
Good.
And it's already happening because there's this other K drama that I actually recently saw pop up on like my little Netflix home called My Name. And it's already number 10. It's like number 9 or 10, like across, at least in the States.
It's probably
And
9
this is,
because like 10 is always taken up by that weird animated baby show on Netflix. Like
Cocomelon.
that is like a constant 10 on Netflix, and it's disturbing.
Yeah, it's like 8 or 9, but Netflix is going to start pushing more, at least of their foreign content, more to the forefront. And I will say though, Netflix does not miss with their originals for the most part, like their shows for the most part. Especially the foreign ones are very good. Like Money
Foreign, yes.
Heist is very good. 3% is a Brazilian one, very good. There are other ones too that have been out that are very good that I can't remember at the moment that I've watched though. Oh yeah, Tribes of Europa, that was good. So Netflix, like they've low key been in their bag with their foreign entities, like their foreign originals. So I feel like this is going to give more people to get exposed to other stuff internationally, but also give those international creators more room to create, especially considering the success of Squid Game. So,
Yo, Axel, cool question, bro.
Yes.
What's Sundance or Sunday?
Oh, Sundance is it's a movie festival where a lot of people make these like smaller movies, usually with more like small time casts. You don't really see a whole lot of big names unless somebody that is a big name is just like, I want to make my directorial debut at Sundance, kind of thing. And with that, It's While it's a celebration of people like showing off these movies that they created in a given year, it's also where certain movie executives and whatnot will try and buy rights to movies from Sundance and then either release them as is, or they make a bigger adaptation of it with like a bigger cast and whatnot. It's been a thing for a very long time. I'm not aware of what the current state of Sundance is, just because of the COVID stuff. It's probably back and fine, because people will find a way. But that's more or less what Sundance is. It's a movie festival with a lot of smaller movies and whatnot. And again, it's a lot of either original content, original screenplays, documentaries, stuff like that.
All right.
But yeah, I did want to say, at least in terms of the foreign content, the one other show that I really like, and I'm still kicking myself because I haven't watched season 3 yet, I really like Dark from Germany, because it's a sci-fi series on there, that has to deal with time travel and this like one village that has been part of this time travel loop that happens every 33 years. It's a very interesting series, and I can't recommend it enough to people. But again, it's really great that we're getting more foreign language content. The only thing that disappoints me is the amount of people that watch the dubs over the subs.
Yes.
Because
Oh my gosh. Yes.
it's bad. And you can totally tell that the people that are doing the dubbing aren't the same people that do dubbing for like anime or cartoons, because it just does not work right. Like you lose a lot from the dub and it becomes comical, which and that totally ruins the vibe for a lot of series if you have a comical voicing when it's supposed to be a super serious moment. But
Yeah, it's just not giving what they're supposed to give. The dubs are not. And I remember when I was on YouTube, the other day, I saw this short clip of someone making fun of the English dub for Squid Game, and I watched it in the sub. So I didn't know what the dub was like. So out of curiosity, I played the clip, and it was of the character, whatchamacallit, the character who had that thing going on with the gangster in Squid Game, the Hong Nim. I think that was. I'm so sorry if I butcher her name, by the way. It's blanking on me.
no, but the one that everyone wanted to die for the longest time, because she
Yeah,
was
the
just like,
annoying
I
one.
have a child and I shouldn't be here. And then
Yes.
towards the end, and spoiler warning for anyone that hasn't watched Squid Game, and I'm gonna 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, she dies. And it's
She
just,
takes him out with her.
yeah, you feel kind of bad for her towards the end of it, but at the same time you're like, good for you, you did what you set out to do, you got your revenge.
Yeah, she went out in a boss way though.
Yeah.
She kind of had a feeling that she was gonna die, but if you're gonna die, you go out in a boss way, and she went out in a really, really cool way. But anyways, so I heard a clip of her talking to gi-hun, Ali, and Song-woo, and it was so cringy. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, this cannot be the real dub, but it was. And I've heard better voice acting in a bridge series.
Ugh.
I've heard better voice acting in freaking a bridge series. That was just a travesty. And I was like, people actually sat here and watched that. That's just painful.
Unironically, at that. Unironically. That's what makes it worse. The fact that, and I get it. If you're watching something on Netflix in the background or whatever. Although at that point, why are you even watching Squid Game if you just
Yeah,
have
why
it
you
on in the
watching TV?
background? But, how can you unironically do it if you have no visual issues, if you have no problem reading subtitles and whatnot? What the hell? What are you doing? It's different compared to a dub for an anime or a cartoon, where they have enough practice in the game at this point that they know what they're doing. Like, are there still, questionable casting choices here and there? Sure. That's unavoidable. But for, the most part, the dubbing is fine for anime and cartoons. But, for the live action stuff on Netflix as foreign film or series, I felt the same way for Dark, although in contrast, I only watched 2 minutes of the dub of Dark, and that was because they opened up with an after sex scene, and it was just very awkward English dialogue, and it was just I don't like this. Their lips aren't matching, which makes it worse. The fact that for those dubs they don't match the lip flaps, but at the same time it's harder because it is live. You can't do that. I don't know. Some of the only good dubs that I have seen have been for Japanese content by Japanese dubbers. I watched Shin Godzilla dubbed by Funimation, and that was fine. But again, it was dubbed by Funimation, so it better be good. I don't know. They need to get these people from the anime side of Netflix to give them pointers on how to dub people, because it's not good right now. It's really not.
If anything, they need to actually hire voice actors to do the voice actor roles that require voice acting, because this is a bit of a tangent, but there's just this thing going on in Hollywood right now where they're hiring celebrities to do voice overs instead of voice actors.
I mean, it's been that way for years now.
But it's getting to the point where it's getting a little ridiculous. You all know about the Mario movie that's coming.
What? The Mario movie? No.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about that Chris Pratt led Mario movie.
Yeah. I'm okay with Bowser being Jack Black being Bowser. I'm here
Absolutely.
for that. He's gonna carry that movie. His back's gonna be killing him for how much he carries that movie. But Chris Pratt,
oh, that's because that's the thing. And there are several celebrities that have more than enough experience in voice acting at this point. Jack Black is one of those people because of how much he's done it. Mike Myers is another person I would say who has it, because I mean he was part of Shrek for as long as he was. I would even say, honestly, I don't have any problems with Seth Rogen being Donkey Kong, because he has his various experiences with voice acting, whether it was from Kung Fu Panda, whether it was from Sausage Party, whatever. He has done a lot, and there are people that know how to voice act that are celebrities, but there are so many that also don't. And don't get me wrong, Chris Pratt has voiced cartoon characters and whatnot. He voiced Emmett from the Lego movies, but he was also just being himself with it. There wasn't a whole lot of character with it.
Yeah.
When you're Jack Black, you don't have to put him a lot of effort into stuff.
No, you don't. And I still don't know who I can't remember Peach's voice actress for the life of me, because I mean
in the Queen's Gambit.
Cool, that still means nothing to me because I didn't watch Queen's Gambit. But yeah, no, I that was one of those ones where it was just I didn't watch it only because that was people were being a little bit hoity-toity about watching Queen's Gambit and getting into chess and being so oh, I'm playing chess. There was a whole arc of freaking YouTube influencers playing chess because they watched Queen's Gambit, and it's just cool, great.
We
don't care. Honestly,
we do not care. And I felt that one clip of Naruto, and he's I have not a clue I have no idea what's going on, but I'll act like I do. That's how I felt watching them talking about chess in Queen's Gambit, but they filmed it in such a way that was so entertaining, and I'm like, I can't believe that a chess match is this entertaining to me, and I don't even know anything about chess.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know that it can be entertaining, but that's also because I have watched and or read various manga or anime centered around various games and whatnot. So like I'm used to it. Like when you actually have a game and you have characters or people that are you are invested in playing it, I'm more emotionally invested. Like I don't get me wrong, like I will still watch and or go to a football game, baseball game, etc. But I very much more enjoy reading or watching anime or manga of it instead because like I'm invested in the characters and whatnot. And the same can be said for various games and whatnot. Like I'm not saying that I wouldn't enjoy Queen's Gambit if I did eventually watch it, but like I will also admit it's just not high on my list because there's other things I would rather watch and or read. Um I would watch Squid Game again before I probably
The
will
game
watch
was really good.
Queen's Gambit. Um but yeah. Otherwise then was there anything else you guys wanted to say, mention or discuss before we got into Squid Game then?
I just remember this one. I think it was Death Game. It was like on Amazon Prime. It came out a few months ago. I think in October, last October, not a few months ago. Then, but it came out last October. I think I was like high schoolers and played these games and stuff. Can't remember the name though.
Was it an anime or a live action?
It was live action. Came on like Amazon Prime.
Hmm. I'll have to go back and look into that then. I don't know. I like half pay attention to Amazon Prime, honestly, because like for years or a couple years I was paying attention because they actually had like at least one decent anime that they were licensing for a season. So like there was a good chunk of time that I was watching it, but like I dropped off the horse even though there are several shows on Amazon Prime that I still really need to watch and whatnot, but I don't and I'm gonna get back into Amazon Prime just because they've got like a boomerang channel for like $5 additional per month, and they have like all the like classic Scooby Doo movies and whatnot on there, so you can bet your ass that I'm gonna go and watch all those at least in the span of a week.
Yeah, I never heard of it until my man's. He told me it was like right before he came out. Man's like, "Yo, we're gonna watch this in VC." I was like, "Hey, cool."
Now, did you enjoy that at the same level of Squid Game though, or not as much?
No, but it was a difference. Okay, Squid Games and this show was different because this show was like watching teenagers and they was stupid, so I got to laugh at their stupidity. With Squid Games, it was like, yeah, they were stupid, but it's like y'all winning this for money. It was like more of like petty stuff for the other people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I completely understand that.
Yeah. I like them like this both though, like the same.
Mm-hmm.
It was both enjoyable.
All right. Well, if you figure it out at any point, feel free to let us know. Otherwise, just I will definitely hit you up afterwards if I can't find it on Amazon Prime.
Right.
T, was there anything else you wanted to say before moving on to the Squid Game?
Let's go ahead and get into it.
All right. So
this is why the people are here.
Absolutely. 40 minutes in and we're finally getting the Squid Game. Yeah. But no, I had pretty decent expectations going into Squid Game before watching it. Now that being said, like I didn't then watch it until it started exploding all over the internet, but I was interested in watching Squid Game from the beginning. And just dear God, I wasn't expecting as much of an emotional roller coaster as it was. I should have, because I've watched enough K-dramas and thrillers and stuff like that before, that like that is way up their alley and they know how to pull on the heartstrings and whatnot. But like, dear God, it was just really well done from start to finish. There were some questionable things here and there, but like overall for me, it was definitely a 9 out of 10 show, I think. Like it was close to perfect, but it's very difficult for me to give something a 10 out of 10. Like certain people that we know that just give things 10 out of 10. Cough, cough, Pokesel. What? Anyway. just giving a little dig to Pokesel and his undying love for Blue Box, and it can do no wrong. But I digress. We're not here to talk about Blue Box. We're here to talk about Squid Game.
Oh, y'all talking about Midbox?
Oh, don't even get... Hey now. Hey now. Hey now. No,
I'm just doing it. I like Blue Box. It's good. It's cool.
Well, Mmbro, I'll let you go first. What was your general reaction to Squid Game?
I don't have Netflix, so I didn't know what it was until I went on Twitter. So I heard everybody talking about it. I was like, hey, I'll peep this. So I typed on my little laptop. I was like, illegal site that I can watch stuff on.
Oh my god. Go on.
I searched for it and I started watching it. And already this was giving me like weird vibes. I was like, the music was giving me weird vibes because like you already know like the soundtrack and like the I guess main theme of it give my weird vibes. And then also like the beginning when they explained the Squid Games and shit like that. I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of weird, but y'all keep doing your thing. I liked how we learned more about the characters over the story, just not staying with the main character. And he's like Jin but worse. And the ending though, that got me socked, yo. Like that shit was whew. I ain't gonna cap. I had to pause my laptop and all of that. Also, the old man, the GOAT.
Yeah, he is the GOAT. He was the heart and soul of that series for sure. And I just want it to be known that the Axel and Friends podcast in no way condones the illegal watching of Netflix content. If you have legal means to watching Netflix content, oh my god. I mean, you do what you gotta do, man. I mean, at least you enjoyed it. Keeping that bag away from Netflix, I see. Not wanting to throw in your dollars into their 900 million pot after the sheer success of this series. Dear God.
Of course. Y'all got enough money. Don't take mine.
Fair enough. Well, how about you, T? What was your general reaction to Squid Game?
Yeah, so I got into Squid Game right around when the memes started appearing, and of course, I was confused as to why people kept talking about it. Like I saw the little memes, but I didn't understand it. And me being me, I did not want to get spoiled. And also I wanted in on the conversation, didn't want to have FOMO, get hit with the FOMO. And I thought that, this could be something fun to review on my channel, which I made a review for, by the way.
Yes, you did.
Anyways, though, so I went ahead and said, I'm going to watch Squid Game and also do like a reaction thread to the stuff that I see. And immediately people are just telling me good luck. And I'm like, why are you telling me good luck? I haven't had this many people tell me good luck since I read the Ragnarok arc and got to high school.
Oh.
Because I said I was starting that and everyone was telling me good luck. And I'm like, why is it good luck? Like, what's going on? And it wasn't a good thing. But I really enjoyed Squid Game. Like, I was shook in the first episode when they started playing red light, green light, and I knew what to expect. Like, I heard the premise of it, but like I didn't really know exactly what to expect. But what threw me for a loop was when the front man started pouring himself a little scotch, watching people die, and then playing "Fly Me to the Moon," just listening to smooth jazz while watching people die. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is different, But I really liked how we got to get an insight as to like why people are in the Squid Game. You know, like the backgrounds behind them, like the financial needs that they have, and the way that it built up these characters. But man, oh man, can I just say that I think we all need an emotional support group for episode 6
Oh my
because
god.
that destroyed me. And like I heard things about episode 6 when I saw people saying like episode 6 is rough, and I'm like, okay. When I got to episode 6 though and I finished it, I was like, I understand why. Like I was distraught. And so when I posted my reaction on Twitter, like people were just saying, there, it's okay. Like we're here for you. Like, man, that was an experience. But I just really enjoyed the premise of it overall because it was a simple story, but with interesting characters, you know? And I find that I tend to enjoy those types of stories where like overall plot is easy to follow, but with that simple plot, they put in these complex characters with layers behind them, and it's more character driven than story driven in a sense. Like the plot's still a driving force, but the characters are really the ones that pop out and shine through. And then typically too, like when you think about a show or a series or a book, you don't immediately think about the plot. You think about the characters first and then the plot. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Squid Game did a really good job at just making a really memorable impression on you from like and how they put a dark twist on these kid games that we all grew up playing, you know? Like who would have thought that you could die from playing marbles? Or who would have thought that you can die from playing like the honeycomb game, like even though we didn't have that in the States, that's like a Korean game, but still like or playing red light, green light. Like that it was just it was such an interesting twist. And I just also found like the way that they designed the set design I thought was genius
Mm-hmm.
because it was a really stark contrast for the reality of what's going on versus like how they tried to make it seem, you know, like with the bright pastel colors and like that windy hallway with all the
MC
stairs.
Escher frickin' hallway design, yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that the set design was genius, and it was even clever in like the holding area where the players were, because if you look carefully on the walls, they had on the walls illustrations of the games that they played.
I
So
did
like
not notice that.
yeah, like there's little things that you just like, again, me being someone like we both studied film, Axel. So like,
Indeed,
you
indeed.
know, yeah, so when you just look at that stuff, it pops out to you. Like
Yeah.
for me, like I it's so weird for me because when I watch something now, like I if I want to really enjoy it, I have to take off my critic hat and put on my all right, I'm just watching it to enjoy it. But then at the same time, I have the critic hat underneath like my regular hat, so I'm like, huh, I'm doing both at the same time now. Um, but overall though, like I thoroughly enjoyed Squid Game. Like I was not expecting it to be that much gas, and it wasn't just regular gas. Like I said in my video, I believe this was premium
It was
gas.
that premium gas.
It was premium gas. It was no diesel fuel, wasn't no regular. It was premium gas, and I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
Mm.
Very nice. I, you know,
Also,
oh, go ahead, Memo, bro.
why was everybody talking about Homegirl? She was like the baddest chick, yo. Like, she ain't that bad. Like,
sae-byeok.
everybody on Twitter was like, yo, she bad, yo. I was like, I watched the show. She ain't that bad, yo.
It's a personal preference thing. I mean, like, she's got
Personally, I
a,
think she is bad.
she's pretty great. I'm like, I think so. I mean, she's not necessarily my cup of tea, but like, I appreciated her character a lot. She
Yeah,
effectively,
character wise, she was cool, but like, y'all was like hyping her up.
God, the meme that was going around of like she the thing that kept her going while on set was that she was reading My Hero Academia, or she was reading Black Clover, or she was reading Jujutsu
Oh yeah,
Kaisen, and I'm just like, oh my freaking god, this is
So, yeah,
what we're
I
doing
contributed
now.
to that.
This is the meme that we're like the
she
memes
watched
from
some
Squid Game
National
were
Friends
great.
podcast.
The memes were were top tier. Like you just had to be there, type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I gotta wonder though, like how much did it cost for them to play Fly Me to the Moon? Like how much money did they have to pay to play it not once but twice? Especially considering the fact that like Netflix also got the rights to redub Evangelion and didn't put Fly Me to the Moon in the ending. You know? Like what did it cost?
What cost?
Like it was it added to the ambiance with it, but like I that was all I was thinking about. I was just like, how much did this freaking cost for them to put Fly Me to the Moon in this? But you definitely hit on some great notes, T, about the honestly the relatability with it. And I'm also going to tie this back to something that a Mmbro said towards the beginning of the podcast, where, like, you know, in terms of, oh, if you really want to get that money, why are you going to a death game when you could go into college or whatnot? And, like, obviously, we learned from, you know, our very nefarious glasses-wearing evil neighbor bastard, that just because you go to school and just because you know, become incredibly smart and, you know, think you know your way around finances doesn't mean that you can't go into financial ruin because of like a sequence of...
Also, he was the
Like
goat.
Song Woo, like
Yeah, Song
prime
Woo.
example of that.
Song Woo.
AKA Woo Shiesty.
Song Woo. Oh, Lee. Poor Ollie. Oh my god. But anyway.
Ollie deserved better, man.
He did.
Don't get me
But,
started.
like, as soon as they paired up, I knew what was gonna happen. I knew. I knew. But,
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's, again, another relatable thing of, like, everyone that participated in the Squid Game, other than, you know, our Ganbu, was there because in some capacity they fell into financial ruin. And, like, it's this thing that is more common and more prevalent than some people know. Like even in the States, like bankruptcy and whatnot is a constant thing for certain people. But like it definitely makes sense on like the Asian side of things just because of the sheer population density in these regions. So like it made it that more reliable that we're seeing all of these different people that are there for different reasons, that all just bankrupted them or put them in debt to the point that like they were willing to sacrifice their lives on the off chance that they could beat these games and make it out of there with a cut of the 45.6 billion. Like, that is insane. Like, and that is something that, not that I want them to make an American Squid Game, unless it is, you know, a season 2 of Squid Game, but like that is something that is still reliable over here. That like people can just go into insane debt for various reasons. More often than not because of medical reasons, but I digress. You know, is
Not to say that literally because of medical bills. But again, like Squid Game was like a message though, like it was like a message about capitalism and stuff like that and the current system that we have and like why people are the like where they are and why they are in the games. And it even speaks to the people who created the games because they were bored. They literally wanted to watch people die for their own enjoyment because they were bored. Like that blew me when I heard that, but at the same time, it just considering like the events that took place, that wasn't like too surprising, you know. But I will say though, real quick, I think the most at least I wouldn't say disturbing, but like I think the hardest game to watch was the stepping stone game with the glass, because literally like they were just trying to at this point weed out as many people as they can as possible. And if you weren't like the last couple people, you were not making out of there alive. Like, oh man, that was a hard one to watch. And I was like even talking about this like with some friends, and in my review, I was like, you know, I feel like I could survive red light, green light, and if I'm really, really gentle, I could survive the honeycomb game. Tug of war, it just depends on the team. And then marbles, I was low key good at marbles as a kid, so I'd be okay. But like that game specifically, oh no, I'm not going to make it. No.
I remember. I hear you're trying to say something. I'm gonna let you speak before I speak here.
Yeah. I kind of forgot what I said. I was about to say.
Relatable. It's all right. I get where you're coming from with T. With that T, like that one was definitely hard to watch. For me though, the one that was the tipping point first was Tug of War, because at that point that was the first time where they had a game that was legitimately person versus person. Like that was the first time where they had the lives of the other contestants in their hands compared to like every other game up to that point, where it was you had your own life in your hands. Yes, with the honeycomb thing, that was an unfortunate stroke of luck for various people, but like that was still something where destiny was still in your hands, and so were other things up to that point. It was also tough watching like the quote unquote bonus game of them killing each other in the dorm room, but like the tug of war was definitely the one that was the tipping point for me first.
That's completely fair. Like it was like the tug of war game, like just that was hard to watch. Like seeing like the guillotine chop the rope, like that. I was like, oh wow. But then that's kind of when I started getting like even more suspicious of our dear old Gambu, Ilnam, because I'm like he knows a little bit too much, you know.
Well, he knew specifically with Tug of War. So like that was the one where like I was fine with that, because like when you think about it, like Tug of War would definitely be something that was played with much older generations, but then it happened less and less and less as time went on. So it's not, that one wasn't like too out there for me, like with believability. But I understand how you could definitely see that way for sure.
Yeah, like just leading up to the reveal of who he is. And then like I had to go back, and when you watch Red Light, Green Light, and when the doll scans the people around him, he's the only one who did not have a little green silhouette. You know? Like he didn't have any silhouette. So they I feel like they definitely put in some type of like safety measures for him so he wouldn't die, you know?
Would have made things definitely interesting then had he actually not been on the same team for Tug of War. What would have happened? Because
yeah,
or even if he had made it to the freaking like the glass panels, like what would have happened there? Like he probably would have been the one that picked the 16 vest, but still.
Could he even jump across though? It's like
maybe. I mean, he would maybe also have to like crawl across. I don't know. It's all theoretical at that point anyway. But one of the questions though that I still have is how the various employees got to that point. Because like at first I was just like, oh my gosh, is it just a bunch of kids that are playing this? Because the first guy that revealed his mask was a kid, but then you had people of various ages after that, and then obviously you had the brother of the frickin' cop, who was essentially the host. Like we never got an answer, which is why I really want a season 2 to answer more questions, but like we never find out why those people are working there, rather than why they're working rather than playing the games. Like what was that determining factor that made them eligible to be workers instead? How do they even find out? Like that's the one out of everything, that is the one burning question that I still have for the show is.
I was just gonna say, like, there's a theory that came from TikTok, where like when the recruiter approached gi-hun, there was a red and blue slip a little card thing that he could pick, right? And so gi-hun chose the blue one, and then he awoke in like that little tracksuit. But if you chose the red one, then you could have been an employee, and like notice like those two colors kind of correspond with the players and the employees. So
Hmm.
there's a theory there, like what would have happened if Gihan would have chosen the red one instead of the blue one, you know? So that I thought that was an interesting theory.
I could kind of see that. I mean, like, it's a semi stretch since we're talking blue to green uniforms and then red to pink uniforms. But I mean, like, that honestly, that's the closest thing that we have to anything since we didn't have any answers. Um, and like, our poor cop guy died, or some people think he's still alive, but like, that's a hard pill for me to swallow, that he'd be alive after getting shot and then falling off a cliff like that. But
Yeah.
So, rule of thumb I like to follow though, in when it comes to movies and TV shows, if they do not show the body, the kill's not confirmed because I've seen shows pull stuff like that before where like
yeah,
they'll die in a similar way and they'll somehow survive. And we never saw his body.
mm-hmm,
So it's kind of left up in the air like, did he survive or did he die? Like, we don't know. Um,
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
we figure out should it be season two.
You sounded like you talked through a filter there for a second.
Oh, sorry, that was
Yeah.
that was tweaking. Is that better?
Now you're better. Now you're good.
Okay, good. But basically, like we will, I guess, learn more should there be a season two or not. But yeah, I've just learned though, like the kill's never confirmed unless they show the body. Like for example, of Ilnam, they never showed his body.
It is very true. Like, and like that's the thing, is that like obviously there were certain like they thankfully didn't show Ali getting shot, but
Couldn't
then
watch that.
But then,
No.
but then when Homegirl's homegirl got shot, they were just like, "Screw it!" Just gun to the side of the head and bam. And I was just like, "Oh my god, I didn't want to see this. Why?"
They put some lead in here, yo.
Like the
They tried to
splatter
make it
and
better at putting
everything.
it out of focus, but
Oh
it
my
didn't help with it
god,
being out of focus.
no, because
Nah,
it
bro.
was still there. Ugh, I don't know. I do
I
want to.
kind of want to go.
Oh, go ahead.
I kind of go back to like the topic of not topic. But I want to go back to what Axel said. How did they come to do like the masked people, right? Because that was
Mhm.
always weird to me. Because like y'all had to, like what y'all said, y'all had to kind of know what was happening before that and what y'all was getting yourselves into. And like y'all must be bored. Like y'all in Korea must have been bored to be like, yo, I feel like killing people today. I'm bored. Hey, y'all bored? Come on, I think we all bored. We gonna get some people up, make them broke, give them money, and we can kill them if they lose some games. That's like some like, and they have to think about this stuff over years too, to get like that space and all that. You know what I mean?
No, but they've had it for years though. Like when the detective was investigating, he made it to like the archive section where like the front man's little office was.
What if?
Like the game's been going since like the 90s.
What if they're all former military? What if that's the reason why they're there? Because like with Korea, like it is part of their government's practice where everyone has to enroll into the military at some point in their young life, and they have to serve, I believe it's 2 years at least in the military. So what if that's it? What if, because again, the black masked guy, he was the cop's brother. What if that was one of the connections? Was like they're addressing former military, and that's how they're getting their employees. Because that also explains how everyone was good with a gun. Because, I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, it's not easy to just be able to shoot an automatic rifle like that. Like, you have to have some kind of training, whether it's, like, professional or recreational. That has to be a thing. But also to have that discipline in order to, not step out of line and whatnot. So I feel like, and I've got my fingers crossed that I'm right on this, that they're former military, and they've been pulling former military people for as long as they've been running this game. I think that's the theory I want to run with.
It makes sense because like the creators of the games have the means and the resources to do that.
Yeah.
Not Axel. What if like the Squid Game's like some military type shit? You know what I mean? And like they it was like actually military training, right? So they use that because like you gotta get the body right, but they're gonna do that after, right? But you gotta get to, you gotta find like their head, eye coordination, mind stuff, right? Test their mind, right, to get them ready for that type of stuff. Because we don't, if say you go in the military, they don't know what you're going. Like, say you go into war, you don't really know what they're gonna put you through. So this is kind of like, trying to like a pre-training to that. You know what I mean? So it could be like that, and yeah. Plus, what you said, all these people are probably military members, and it's like, yo, you weak, kill you. You know what I mean?
I don't know that it would necessarily be people that are weak. Because, I mean, like, by all means, everyone that was there pretty much had an iron will. The only people that, like, we got to see, like, any, like, extra bit of personality were the guys that were doing the side hustle. But, like, I don't, because I could definitely see that being a thing, where it's just, like, people that, like, were either left the military or, they wanted to have some kind of fun or something, like, after doing the required amount of years or something. Okay, like, I think it would be interesting if we got to see more of a prequel to Squid Game in that regard, to see how things maybe were set up. Like, because I feel like a sequel is like the obvious play, but like a prequel would definitely give us more insight into how things came about. So I would definitely like to see that, but obviously I want the director / writer to have, all the time he wants to enjoy himself after the success of his series, despite the years that it took for him to get it, and the struggles that he had. Like, he was someone himself who, like, he had financial troubles. He had to sell off his laptop at one point because he was struggling as much as it was. So, like,
my man was in the trenches for real.
Absolutely. But like, I do want to see more. I think I want more of a prequel more than I want a sequel at this point. Although I would appreciate both. But I want to explore the mythos of this world more. I want to explore how the Squid Game came about and how it got all these investors in its, dear God, are mostly white investors. Oh my God.
Their acting was so cringy, bro.
But
that's
was
probably where
perfect.
the Fly Me to the Moon budget went.
No, but like, that's perfect. Like, they're not supposed to be like these great actors or whatnot. They're supposed to be like these corny guys that are just rich, and like their personality is that they're rich. So like, I think that their acting, or quote unquote lack thereof, was perfect for it. I think it fits exceptionally well. Like, was it a little, grating at points because we're switching from Korean all of a sudden to English? Sure. But like, I think it played really well into it. It just, again, part of why I want a prequel is I want to know how, like, this came to be. Like, how did one Korean grandpa all of a sudden, get all of these international connections, and it was like, hey, you guys want to gamble on people dying? Like, what were those steps that got to that point? Like, I'm really curious. Or even if they're like the first generation, or if there were like other generations of rich white guys before them. probably. You know,
It sure was.
it's the cycle of
generational wealth.
oh,
And again,
absolutely.
like the games have been going on since the 90s. So the potential's limitless here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would definitely be down for a prequel. Like a sequel would be cool, but I feel like I would be more interested in in a prequel, seeing how it came to be, and then maybe seeing a sequel afterwards. But
Mm-hmm.
it just depends on what the creator wants to do, honestly. Because I think the creator said that if there was to be a sequel, that he would like to dive into the other elements of Squid Game, like the front man and like the detective, and then like the employees and like the other stuff, and not just solely like have someone else kind of be like the main focus. Not our we're not looking through the eyes of gi-hun,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm.
So I honestly would be interested in seeing that because I think we've seen enough of gi-hun's like like perspective, even though I'm still upset he did not get on that plane, like
Yeah.
Gi-hun was doing anything but being a father.
Yeah. Like
That's
you
facts.
think he finally turns the corner, and then all of a sudden it's just like, nope. I'm gonna be difficult. I'm gonna join these games just to be like, you're wrong. And like at that point it's just like, do we really want to see him go through another round of games if he's just gonna win at the end, and then like nothing happens to like the rich people or whatnot? Like, what
And
is he going to do?
it could be him not joining the games, but like he now has the resources to be able to find another way to get in.
Sure,
So
but
it
at the
could
same
be
time, like they have the resources to find him. Like,
that is true as well.
I don't know. I guess anything is possible, but I think that is why I want more of a prequel at this point.
Because they were keeping tabs on him because the front man said on the phone to get on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point though, like I don't really care too much about what gi-hun's doing. Like I'd rather to see like a different perspective, like more about the front man. I think that'd be interesting. Like how did he become the front man? You know? Like what
Exactly.
that kind of things.
It's very possible that he won one of the previous games, and so that's how he got in. That would at least be my guess. Is that like that
I
would
was
be
thinking the
why
same
he
thing.
is at the level that he is, and is trusted to be the host, in the stead of our actual host. Like, I feel like that's probably what happened. But again, why there's room for a sequel or a prequel? Absolutely.
How do y'all feel about the winner?
Gi-hun?
Yeah.
I mean, I expected it. Honestly, I wanted
Yeah,
more than one, but like, Homegirl got screwed over on that one. Jeez. It's like,
she
oh, you
really
you
got
won
hoed.
you won the game. Oh, sorry, you have a giant shard of glass in your stomach. Like, ugh. Like at that point, like it's not even. It's not. I mean, obviously they went the quote unquote fair route by giving everyone a knife, but at the same point in time, like this was the first time that somebody got seriously injured from a game ending at that, compared to any other time before. There was no other point in time where somebody got injured to the point, of Homegirl dying. Like, no, there wasn't. So that was the one death that just pissed me off more than anything. Um,
I agree.
like it I guess it had to happen, but at the same time, it was just like, ugh, awful. Like it had to be a one-on-one to be a whole battle of ideals and stuff like that, and it was good. Like it was a great final game. Like I won't deny that, but like it just sucks that she didn't get to go to the end. Absolutely, because
And I had
the
to
glass thing was just so freaking cheap.
I was thinking the same thing, like really, like she's been one of the strongest players the whole time too.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna have her get taken out by some glass, and then of course Song Woo doing Wu Shiesty things. But um it was disappointing to see that, because I actually enjoyed her character, but I had a feeling the way that like she was talking about like her family and her brother and like talking to gi-hun right before everything happened that she was gonna be out of there soon.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. Do you think, because obviously we know the order of the games as they were now, do you think that this series would have taken off as much as it did if it didn't have red light, green light as that first game?
That's
Mm,
an interesting question. Bro, you want to go first?
maybe because we had the honeycomb thing. So TikTok really took over that thing. So TikTok saw that shit. Then they could have took that over, and it also could have blown up. But I think the red light, green light put up made a major part to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. T, any
Here's
thoughts?
Yeah, I have thoughts. I don't think so because the intent of the first game, like red light, green light, was to disguise that it was a death game. Because when you first go in, like the players don't think anything of it. They think, oh, it's just me playing a game. And the guards are not holding any armory. They have no weapons. Versus when you see them throughout like the rest of like the show, they are always armed, you know? So like it's kind of to manipulate and trick the players thinking that they're just going to play a game, but it's really their life at stake. And it's masking that. And I just don't see that happening with the other games. Maybe marbles, I don't know. Because like the life or death threat is clearly there. Like they're playing doing the honeycomb thing, like there are armed guards right there to shoot you on the spot. When they are doing the tug of war, like literally, like there's no way the people if the players are coming in to play tug of war and they saw those two towers, they would all refuse to play. There's no way that that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more so. I don't think it would really work if red light, green light wasn't first.
I think there's a relatability to it. Like red light, green light is a game that kind of transcends borders. Like it's a game like most people can understand because red light or traffic lights are a thing in the vast majority of, well, at least developed countries of the world in various regards. So there's that like immediate factor of relatability of like, oh, I used to play red light, green light as a kid, or oh, like my kids have played that, or just that general recognition of it. Like, had it been any other game in the lineup, one, some of them wouldn't make sense just because like certain games had to be played in a certain way because of the emotional impact and whatnot. But two, like for the ones that didn't have that emotional impact or the way that they were played, like it would be a little bit more alienating because it's not part of the same culture. Like obviously the honeycomb thing, we have nothing like that in the States. I doubt most other countries have something like that either. So like that would be something really difficult to have that same kind of level of stakes right away. So it really makes me question, like, is there even like another game out there that one could handle 456 contestants, but two have that same level of relatability and whatnot to get people interested in it? Because like that's the thing, is that, like, I think it was just a perfect storm of relatability with the games and the players and whatnot that really got people interested in it. And I don't know that there's anything else that could match that. And
I feel
like,
like
oh, go ahead.
the one game that could would be musical chairs. I feel like that could have the same impact as red light, green light, and then I could imagine it like they have Fly Me to the Moon playing as it being the song, and like they're going around and they, oh no, I lost my chair or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe like the chair just like the person who like doesn't end up getting in a seat, like they either get sniped or like they fall through a pitfall or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then like the way they get rid of chairs is they have like the chairs fall through like a pitfall. Like I could see musical chairs being one of those games, but otherwise, like yeah.
I could definitely see that being like a mid Squid game, but like, I don't see that being like at least the first one, only because again like the concept of other people's lives like in your hands wasn't a thing until we got to Tug of War. Like it has to be something that like anyone can play. It's all on you, and like you're not necessarily affecting other people. Not that people didn't affect other people, obviously, but um, I I don't know. I don't know that there is a game like that. At least not one that would be like universally recognized either. And I'm gonna be pissed at myself because I'm probably gonna think of something after the podcast and be like, why didn't I think of that? But like, I don't know. I think it was just the perfect storm, and just the right thing to start with. I don't think it could be. I don't know that we would have a $900 million series if it wasn't for the fact that they played Red Light Green Light first.
Yeah. And even just like the doll is iconic now.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are cosplaying as the doll. People are doing to the point where people are dressing up in drag as the doll and doing drag shows
Mm-hmm.
as the doll. Like there's tons of memes of it to the point where people are editing like acrylic nails and like wigs and stuff like that and hair onto the doll. It's because like when Black Twitter gets a hold of something, we run with it. Like Black Twitter is just it's magical. But it's the doll in itself is just iconic.
Mm-hmm.
It was to
Like
the
people,
point where like a lot of people were like they recreated the red light green light in the rest of the games in Roblox, but people think of that red light green light thing immediately because of how iconic it was. And even like the players reacting to red light green light, because then you have that one lady who like screams and like she has this really horrifying expression on her face. I don't know if you remember the one I'm talking about. Like
you
it
know,
was
what you're
like
talking about.
it's like the yeah that the lady who screams who initiates that huge massacre. You know,
Right, but
like I
it
feel
was the two like delinquents though that started everything though, like.
yeah the delinquents did.
But like, and that in and of itself was iconic, like just the fact that these two guys were cocky. One of them gets shot with just the perfect angle so that you can't see anything behind, and like I I guess a little bit of like rigor mortis kind of stopping him from like just making it seem suspicious more than it was. Like it just, oh my god, it was so well done, so well choreographed, just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess I should ask then, were there any other themes, characters, anything else that you guys wanted to talk about? Oh my god, I feel bad for Ali's wife and child. Like I not that I'm not concerned for other people's families in general, but the fact that like Ali like left his poor wife and child in South Korea when they're from Pakistan, like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's why Ali really deserved so much better, but unfortunately, he encountered Wu Shiesty.
Sangwoo, Sangwoo.
And like what broke my heart when he realized what had happened after he opened the pouch, and I'm like, bro, like first of all, Song Woo really was like gaslighting the mess out of him.
That was the most elaborate thing ever, and like, my god, ugh.
The fact that he got away with it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, they were told, you just have to get the marbles in a non-violent way, whatever means necessary. And that's the thing, is that like people that were playing marbles weren't even playing the same game across the board, which again was the whole freedom, even playing field for everybody. But my god, the lengths that Song Woo went to make that bag switch happened, Jesus. Ugh. That bastard.
He really, man, like, and I knew from the get-go, like, not get-go, but like after like during the second game, that something wasn't right with him, because he could have easily warned gi-hun not to choose Umbrella, and he told the group to split up, and he knew what game it was, right? Like, he knew, and he could have warned them, like, quietly, listen, pick triangle, because we about to do the honeycomb thing. Like, he could have warned them, but he didn't. And even there was a moment of hesitation when gi-hun was approaching the umbrella, and he called out his name, and he still said nothing. And I was like, ain't that supposed to be your good childhood friend? I was like, something not right with him, and I don't know what it is. But ever since then, it was like, I liked how they handled his character, though, because as the games progressed, you really got to see more of who Song-woo really was, and that everybody to him was a means to an end.
I mean, you still got to see that, though, with the episode where they all went back, though. The fact that, like, this is a man who, like, again, was this man who was like a top of his class, super smart, should have been absolutely filthy rich, and he was, and then lost it all. And he's this man who is not home. He is sitting in this random hotel in a bathtub full of water with his clothes on. Like, like from the get-go, you can see that there's something wrong with this man. And like, it's so interesting to watch his descent throughout the series. And like, I don't feel bad for him, with his, that last flash of morality where he took his own life, just so gi-hun could win. But like,
Sung-woo, I already knew he was on some oppy stuff right when, like, first episode. I don't know why I felt like an opp vibe from him, yo. And seeing and progressing through the story, I was right.
Well, he was avoiding the main character kind of from the get-go. He was just like, oh, you're here.
Yeah.
And he got real triggered every time gi-hun kept mentioning, like, you went to this university. Like, he was kidding. You can see it on his face.
Shut up, damn.
He was triggered. And he was like, yo, I'm gonna kill this dude later. Like, he was plotting.
Mm-hmm. He got what was coming, but his poor mom, I mean, like, she ended up getting all that money, so cool, but the fact that gi-hun's mom had to die, that too, I mean, you knew it was coming, but like, it didn't make it hurt any less, especially when he just got on the floor and just hugged her, like, ugh. I will say, I was half expecting the collection guys to, like, jump him at any point in time before he got to the house. So I'm semi-disappointed that didn't happen or anything, but because he also he didn't touch that money for an entire year, though. So it's just like, what did he do to avoid these collection guys? I mean, unless he did pay from, like, the first night, but
like, you think he would have, like, gotten jumped by them, because, like, not at least when he returned, because I believe he gave them, like, they gave him, like, a month to get the money. Like, I think that was what the loan sharks were doing. Like, they gave him a month, and the games just took place in, like, a week, because each day they played a game. So it was about a week of games. However, yeah, it's just, what did he do?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Oh, real quick, I did want to ask, like, what did y'all think about, like, the gangster, like, him? I don't think we really talked about him.
We did. I love him in real life. Oh my god, he is so much fun in real life. And the fact that his Instagram is mostly him and his cat, is pretty great.
Oh, that's cute.
But I wanted more to happen. Like, I wanted him to be betrayed by his guys sooner than the marble episode. Um, but it's fine that that's kind of how it ended up being, I guess. It was interesting seeing, though, like, as the things went on, like, him realizing that, like, he really was, like, a small fish in, like, a big pond. Like, he didn't have the power that he thought he had. And like gi-hun told him, like, at any point in time, the tables could have been flipped on him, and he could have died. And like, he took that to heart, and he started becoming more and more of a coward. So it's so interesting that, like, he got taken out by one of the people that he betrayed in the Squid Games, in her own act of courage to take him out when he was at the end of his cowardly rope.
Yeah. And I don't know if you all have seen Money Heist or not, but he reminded me of Arturo from Money Heist.
Yeah. Oh my god.
He gave me big Arturo vibes. Like, oh my gosh. The only difference is that Arturo, man, at least we got justice, you know, at least justice was served in this case. But Money Heist. Yeah, but he gave me, like, both of them have, like, the same energy. Like, Arturo and this guy, they would be besties because of how they were. And even, like, when he was on his last stand and wouldn't move forward in the stepping stone game, I'm like, bro, this is some Arturo BS that he's pulling right now, because Arturo would do the same thing.
Not facts.
You know? But yeah, like, but his final moments and, like, old girl taking him out, like, that was a boss way to go out. She said that she was gonna kill him, and she did what she came to do, even if that meant her costing her own life. But, like, hey, if you're gonna go out, you might as well go out big. And so she went out in, like, the most boss way possible.
I do like that. Speaking of the stepping stone game, I thought it was it made it more interesting, the fact that they picked a game that they didn't realize that one of the guys that they had picked for the games had a background in glassworking. Like, especially because, you know, their entire motto was giving everyone a fair shake at the games, with no kind of advantages for one player over the other. So I thought it was incredibly interesting that they had made that mistake, and they obviously mid-corrected it towards the end of the game when it mattered. But, like, I thought that was really cool how, once again, it wasn't, while they were trying to do this perfect operation, they still had their flaws. Poor old dude had to die at the end, but I mean, that was gonna happen kind of regardless at that point. Like, he threw everybody else's lives away, which, had he revealed that earlier, I think everyone would, or more people would have died. Or I think they all could have died at that point. But it is what it is.
Yeah, but man, the way, like, Song Woo just pushed him, though, like, you could, like, at that point, Song Woo was like, I'm done hiding and being this, like, done being politically correct, done being calculated. I'm just gonna let y'all see the crazy now. And, like, he didn't hold anything back. He kind of reminded me of Joe from You, especially in season 1, where you start to see Joe unravel and really show his murderous intent and his insanity. And Song Woo's descent reminded me of Joe, and, like, watching Joe progress as a character and Joe's descent into him being a serial killer. That makes sense, you know?
He made me think of Kisaki from Tokyo Revengers. That was my thought. I mean, like, people were also making memes of that too, but, like, that was the one for me. Not that
I never read or seen Tokyo Revengers, so I can't comment on that.
Well, that's a shame. That's a
I
downright
know
shame.
everybody's been telling me to read it or
Oh, she's not.
watch it,
Yeah, I know that.
but I've been completely burnt out of anime and manga lately since like the summer.
How?
So I've just been watching more live action stuff and like rewatching stuff. And then like I'm gonna start reading comics. Like I'm gonna
Did you
start
go to? Did
Invincible
you
this week.
finish your rewatch on Teen Titans T?
I'm almost done rewatching Teen Titans. I'm on season 5 right now.
Nice.
And I recently, like before that, I rewatched Young Justice, and now the first 2 episodes of the new season dropped.
Yes,
Um,
man.
it was good. They were good. And then after Teen Titans, I'm gonna rewatch the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited because I want to.
Mm,
All right, all right.
good times. Good times with that Justice League cartoon. Oh, right in the nostalgia.
The DVDs upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Then I might
have.
rewatch Avatar for the 1000th time.
Oh my
Who
god.
knows?
Oh man, relatable. God. Okay. Well, was there anything else then? Was there anything else that we didn't cover with Squid? I will say this. I had entirely thought that the stepdad that married Gi-hun's wife, I had entirely thought that he was involved in the Squid Games in some capacity. Like I just had that hunch, and I'm disappointed that he wasn't, unless he actually was. But like I was just like, was he somehow involved? And that was how like he got Gi-hun involved in the Squid Game. Like, especially for like the fact that like they were going to America. So it was just like, is he going to America after the Squid Game to establish a Squid Game in America kind of thing? Like my brain was making all these theories, but then like it was just, no, he was just a douchebag who had money, I guess. But he didn't give an allowance to his wife. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
No, I thought the same thing too. I was like, oh, this nigga, he oppie.
I didn't really think too much of him, honestly, because like he just kind of gave me that, oh yeah, I'm a jerk. I'm the jerk that married your ex-wife type of vibes, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And those characters, like I don't really care for them too much. Like they like some I feel like some mediums make it work because like eventually like they like the ex-wife and the husband learn to co-parent, things get better. Like for example, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, that's an example I would say I would give. But I just, yeah, I didn't really think too much of him, honestly. So it's interesting that you pointed that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was just kind of my thing. I was just like, why are they going to the United States? What is his job that like he's able to go from Korea to the United States kind of thing? And obviously they didn't elaborate on that more. And the wife just like, especially when the husband came home, like the wife seemed so pitiful when that happened. So it was just like, are you really in a happy relationship with this new guy? Like, obviously you're not with Gi-hun, but like this new guy, like, he just seems like a dick. Like you went from a guy who like lost everything to a guy who's just, he has money but he's an asshole to his wife. Like, was that really the best trade-off that you could get? I don't think so. But yeah, I that being said, I know we had potentially talking about other death games and whatnot, but like just looking at how long we've been going with the podcast, I think we could definitely more so end things on Squid Games, on Squid Game. I guess I should say, Mmbro, we could start with you. Do you have any closing thoughts on Squid Game? Anything else that we didn't cover? Any thoughts for the future of Squid Game or anything like that?
That shit's gas. Go watch it, and I need a prequel.
Yes, absolutely. Agree with that. And watch it on
Vouch.
Netflix if you can. Even if
Vouch
that
as
means
well.
borrowing another person's account.
But yeah, borrowing. Yeah.
Yeah. Borrowing Netflix. Not other things on your laptop kind of thing. No, none of that. All right, T, do you have any closing thoughts on Squid Game then?
just like my guy Mmbro said, it was not just regular gas. It was some premium gas of a show. Like it's one of my favorite shows of 2021, and I thoroughly enjoyed it all the way through. So if you have not checked out Squid Game, if you've been living under a rock and somehow have avoided the thousands and thousands of memes that people have been producing from this and the artwork and everything, then do yourself a favor and like go enjoy Squid Game and also check out other Death Game series too within like the Death Game genre because they're pretty interesting, you know, like they're different types of Death Game shows that give different vibes. But I recommend checking it out. You know, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the genre.
Yeah, I myself, I definitely know I need to go in and watch Alice in Borderland.
Me too.
And I know there's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I didn't like Alice in Borderland as much as Squid Game or whatnot," and they watched it afterwards. Not necessarily seeing the same thing if like people did Alice in Borderland first, but I that's another one that I need to watch on Netflix. I need to watch more of the Korean stuff on Netflix in general. Like I also need to watch Sweet Home, which obviously is more horror, and that was like a manhwa / webtoon kind of thing. Yeah, like I need to, I like if this podcast does nothing else, because I'd like to assume that most people at this point have watched Squid Game. Otherwise, they went through a lot of spoilers listening to this podcast, but they were warned. Like it's just one of those things where like there are so many good foreign language series and movies, especially on Netflix right now, that people need to watch. And if you are someone that like you watch a lot of anime, you read a lot of manga, if you grew up watching movies based on dystopian teen romance like novels and whatnot, like there's a lot of really good content out there. And I know a lot of people have their hesitations about live action adaptations and whatnot, but there's really good stuff out there. There really is. Like people need to like kind of let go of that hesitation that there isn't good live adaptations of things, because there really are. Like I get it. People didn't like Death Note. I understand. The only good selling point was Willem Dafoe, and that's it. But like there are good live adaptations of things, especially from Korea. Like they got it going on. Like it wasn't really touched on in this video, but like Kingdom by like the South Korea, the zombie movie, or not zombie movie, the zombie series, fantastic. So like go nuts. Like explore something that you haven't before. There is really good stuff out there. You don't have to wait for the internet to tell you that something's good for you to go out and experience it for yourself. Like, that's at least the message that I have. Like, and I've said this on other podcasts too, but like, try new things. You don't have to wait for somebody on YouTube to tell you. You don't have to wait for me to tell you. Like, to watch something. I'll keep telling you to watch or read things because you know that's the whole freaking point of this channel. But like. Go out and touch some grass, and then once you've touched some grass, go back inside and turn on Netflix.
And then don't let subtitles limit you.
Yes.
You know, like not be afraid of subtitles.
Oh my god, please. Watch with subtitles. Yes. Do you read? You should.
Read.
And so I found out the name of the show is called Panic.
Oh, it's called Panic? Okay. Well, at least you told me.
Anything, but if you get anything from this podcast, is like branch out of your comfort zone, try something new. Be afraid of subtitles.
Yes, embrace the foreign language side of Netflix. There's some really cool stuff out there.
You're missing out on a lot of premium guests.
Yeah, and it's
not.
not.
Hypothetically, don't pay for Netflix. Hypothetically.
Oh my god. No, you pay for this stuff so you get more stuff. That's how it works, damn it.
Actually, I said hypothetically.
Okay, anyway. Like,
we can excuse him, bro. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. But, and you know, check out the stuff that isn't just Japanese or Korean, check out the German stuff, check out the Spanish stuff, check out the stuff from, just Europe in general. Like, just check things out. There are so many cool things that we haven't touched upon outside of the German, Korean, and Japanese side of things that is out there. Like, it's really cool stuff out there, and I want more people to experience it, and I hope you find something that you really enjoy. And if the rest of the internet isn't talking about it, then you can claim that you watched it first, because that's how the internet works. Absolutely. But yeah, I think that kind of wraps things up. So I want to thank the both of you for being here on this podcast. Thank you for taking up your time and doing this with me. It's been a solid 1 hour and 45 minutes of good conversation, so I can't thank you both enough. And I'm gonna give you each of you your moment to kind of promote yourselves and whatnot. So I will let Mmbro go first. This is your the floor is yours.
Yeah, as you know, Mmbro. You can find me on YouTube at Mmbro. Same on Twitter. I also run a podcast called Digital Dumbasses. The S's are dollar signs because you'll get money. And run another podcast, Celestial Dragons podcast. So check that out on YouTube. And yeah.
Absolutely. And T, now you can promote yourself as well.
Real quick, again, thanks Axel for inviting me on. This is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking about Squid Game, and maybe it'll be fun to talk about other things with you as well. You can find me on YouTube at Sweet Tea, and then on Twitter and Instagram it's Sweet Tea 162. And yeah, so again, if you also like to ramble and talk about these type of things like we do, check all of us out.
Absolutely. I can vouch for everyone's content here, everyone's personalities. Great. Can't necessarily vouch for everyone from Digital Dumbass. I'm kidding. But like,
oh no, you're right. No, you're right.
I would think so with that name, but
No,
Yep.
no, they're great. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, again, thank you guys both for being here. And thank you to any listeners that are still here with us at this time. As always, you are the real MVPs for sticking it out with me to the end of these podcasts, and I hope you enjoy these weekly podcasts that we dive into. If you like this content and you want to see more like it in the future, hit that like button. If you want me to talk about more Netflix content, because I can totally do that, feel free to talk about that in the comments. If you have any comments on Squid Games or the death game genre in general, I want to hear that in the comments as well, especially if you have recommendations for any anime or manga, or again, shows that you would want to necessarily be covered on the podcast. And like I said, if you want to catch up on any of the other Spooktober content, I've got playlists and whatnot on the channel. And you can always catch my podcast either here on Spotify and a few other platforms, but Spotify being the main one for podcasts. Otherwise, for now, once again, thank you guys for being here. Until next time, my name is Axel Blaze, and let's just say if we get into the Squid Game, I really hope I don't pull the umbrella. So, yeah. Bye-bye, everybody.